What once sounded like science fiction is now entering rehabilitation clinics. Robotics, wearable neurotechnology, and stimulation systems designed to help the body reconnect with the brain. But behind every technology is a human story, someone trying to regain function, independence, confidence, hope. Welcome back to Vital Signs. If you're loving what you're watching, stay connected to this show and all of your Now Media favorites, live or on demand, anytime, anywhere. Download the free Now Media TV app on Roku or iOS and unlock nonstop bilingual programming in Spanish and English. On the move, catch the podcast version at www.nowmedia.tv. From business and news to lifestyle, culture, and more, we are streaming around the clock, ready when you are. Folks, I'm here with Dr. Stephen Kirshblum. He's the co-director of the Center for Spinal Stimulation. And we left off before the break talking about advancements in rehabilitation. And we talked about how important it is to understand some of the other functions of the spinal cord. It's not just about mobility and walking. It's also about dignity, humanity, and having control over our bodily functions. You know, this next decade, I believe, is going to transform how we think about rehabilitation, from precision therapy and robotics to technologies and multidisciplinary care. But it really is about helping people reclaim that movement, hope, resilience, and quality of life. Dr. Kirshblum, we were talking in the break a little bit about that restoration of humanity. Can you start by explaining what rehabilitation is actually about?
Thank you so much. I think if you take a look at the word rehabilitation, it comes from the Latin to make able. And I think that's really what rehabilitation from a clinical side means and from a research side. Meaning, what we do is we try to allow people to be as independent as possible, to reach their maximal potential, sometimes even more than they think they could be initially after injury. And this could be in terms of going back with their home, with their family, back to work, back to the community, to recreational activities and vocation. You know, there's so much that we could do. And I think the excitement of the research combined with the clinical interventions that we're using, I think will allow us to really see a much greater potential for people in engagement. And as you said, in terms of their quality of life.
So let me ask you, what technologies in particular are exciting you the most right now? And how is that helping clinicians better personalize care?
Wow, that's a large topic. So let me give you a couple of areas that I think are truly exciting. Certainly, we have wearables, the ability to really better understand what people can do, and they don't always have to be in front of us to do them. We can give them certain wearables that can be on different parts of their body to help, let's say, on their shoulders to prevent shoulder pain, to see how much stress they're putting on them. We can use wearables to make sure that the person is sitting in a cushion and not developing pressure injuries, which could really handicap a person from the standpoint of getting up and being involved all the time. We also then can advance to the things like exoskeleton devices. These are robots that can help people walk, and there's so many different varieties now available. Those that the robot can help walk for them, or they can, even if they have a little bit of initiation, can then play with and utilize the person's own voluntary activity to help them be able to negotiate in the standing and moving position. But we have technology that goes way beyond just mobility. We have technology that can help in terms of voiding, right? The inability to void on someone's own. It's so critically important to be continent. And so even if a person may not have their own control, to use certain devices that can help them have control can be really important. So there's such a large gamut of technology that is advancing literally by the month.
So can you dive a little into the emotional impact of these newer technologies, robotics, some of the other wearables and things that you've discussed just now? How are those things changing the rehabilitation process emotionally as well as physically? You've kind of dove into the actual functionality, but the emotions and the psychological play here can accelerate, in my mind, accelerate rehabilitation and that dignity. So can you kind of describe how it's changing that whole rehabilitation process?
I think there are two very important components that almost balance themselves. One is people always had hope that they would get better. And it's a job of the rehabilitation professional to give them hope. People, we all live with hope, whether we have a spinal cord injury or not. We all have hope that tomorrow will be better. And sometimes that hope was crushed because people would say, oh, there is no hope for you. I think in rehabilitation, what we continue to do is explain that there is hope. But what technology has done is it shows people directly, yeah, you can see the transformation of what one can do today with technology that they couldn't do even 3 years ago. And so the hope, the emotional benefit doesn't come only from technology. It comes from the comprehensive rehabilitation components, the family support services, and our environment overall. But that technology has really proven to everyone that sky's the limit in the very near future.
And so I'm immediately drawn to ask, how in your experience, especially in the last couple of years with exoskeletons and some of these other things that no one saw, well, maybe people saw coming, but they seemed more like science fiction. Has that increased engagement and motivation during this recovery journey? Is it like, is it a palpable thing that families can see and describe? Like, for the people who are watching, who are maybe supporting family members, what is it that you want them to know about what's possible now?
I think something that we talked about my initiation in spinal cord injury going back a number of years ago. I think that it's technology, it's the internet, it's the ability to gain information at such a quick pace that really enhances people's vision of what could be. And what I mean by that is it used to be that people would come to me and ask me, what's happening? Now they're telling me what's happening, and they want to know, well, we see what's happening on the internet, but tell us really what the next step is going to be. And that excitement is generated, I think, among so many people. Researchers and clinicians equally as important as the patients and their families and the communities. Everyone is engaged. We think we know that there will be changes, not in the long term, but in the short term. And this keeps everyone so engaged. I used to tell people, people would say when the cure comes around, when treatments come around, knock on my door and I'll be ready. And now I tell people, no one's going to look for people who are couch potatoes. You need to be active. You need to be engaged. You need to be involved. And if you keep in shape and you're keeping doing all the right things, you'd be the perfect candidate to be able to work with some of the new technology as they come to your area.
I'm getting chills because this was something that I along with you, have watched this journey. Obviously, I'm not in the cutting edge, but it really does. It's exciting. It's empowering. And so I'm going to ask you, with everything you've seen in this field, what gives you the most hope about the future, whether it's the next 2 to 3 years or even beyond that?
I'll take you back to an interesting time. Maybe some of your listeners won't remember, but uh, Christopher Reeve had a commercial back in 2000 Super Bowl, which showed him walking. And he was really panned for that commercial because it was science fiction. And I took a lot of heat for that too. A lot of people got very upset with me, thinking that as his clinician, I was enabling him to have this thought of that walking in the future as possible. Here we are now, 2026. And it's not only something we believe is possible, we know that it's possible now. So I would tell people what we dream about, what I'm most excited about is that our dreams have changed dramatically because we've already fulfilled some of the dreams we thought we had. We understand the spinal cord better. We understand what's happening. We don't fully yet, but we know there's so much knowledge ready for us to learn that the science will continue to exponentially improve, and therefore that will lead to improving the quality of life for people with spinal cord injury and other neurologic disorders as well.
Thank you so much. Folks, recovery is no longer about surviving injury. It's about restoring function, independence, and possibility. And my biggest takeaway is dream bigger. As science continues to evolve, we're learning that the nervous system may hold more potential than we once imagined. Dr. Kirshblum, if the audience is interested in learning more about you, your work, or the Center for Spinal Stimulation, how can they reach out?
Certainly, I'm on the internet. Just put in Kirshblum and Kessler, and they will come up with my email, and I'd always be happy to be in communication with people. I also do open houses at Kessler every number of months, talking about new research that many people, whether they're patients or not, and it's also available virtually.
Thank you so much. The future of medicine isn't treating disease, it's helping people reclaim movement, resilience, and quality in life in ways we once thought impossible. I want to thank Dr. Stephen Kirshblum for joining us on Vital Signs and helping us understand spinal cord medicine, neurorecovery, spinal stimulation, and the future of human potential. For everyone watching, I invite you to protect your nervous system, move with intention, value recovery, and remember that health is not just what we survive. It's what we're able to reclaim. This is Vital Signs, and unfortunately, all good things come to an end, including the show. But the good news is we'll be here same time, same station next week. So until then, have an amazing day, and remember to protect your greatest asset, your health.